Hello, once again, this is Lita Downs from the Office of Teaching and Learning Excellence, and I will be your moderator today during our session, Exploring Quality Management Strategies to Mitigate Culture Shock Among Cochlear Implant Users. Today's session is part of the CMHP Virtual Symposium. And on the line today, we have Dr. Victor Ambila, who will be discussing his study, and he is with the PhD management program at Walden University. Welcome, Dr. Ambila. It's great to have you on the line.
Thank you. Nice to be here. Could you hear me?
Yes, and at this point, I'm going to turn things over to you. Welcome.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, in my study at Walden University for a PhD in management and technology, I was very excited to present these to research for this theme. The problem statement was the influence of culture shock on cochlear implant user, mostly when they are in the environment where the culture is different from the native culture. And there's two things that was very important for me to start a study. Is this statement for Fitzpatrick, who noticed there's a correlation between the hearing ability and coping capabilities. And the hearing ability came from the speech perceptions of an individual. And the coping capability, it is the performance of someone, normal hearing or cochlear implant user, in a different environment when the culture is different. But Larrey in 1966 and Orberg and some other author found out that there's an impact or the influence or the effect of culture shock on both psychological and sociocultural attributes of an individual involved in communications when they are actually in different environment or not. There is. But the specific question was, what is the culture shock management strategy that was used up to now among cochlear implant users in host environment abroad? All of them was not effective because people who are using cochlear implant when they go in different culture, they have the same issue. And also Goldstein and Keller in 2015 found out that there's a statement from students who were overseas, mostly in Kenya. And they have issue on speech perception capability when they are in different environment. But the way they stated it is that they found out that the problem is the environment, but it is not themselves. So it is external causes that affect them, not the internal causes that are the mandatory, actually key element that affect an individual in cochlear, in cultural environment when they move, they are in different culture. And the block in 18 in management, I use is a statement and a study that it is necessary or mandatory to find out the disruptive management for innovation so that we may manage these individuals who are using technology for quality of life while they are in different environments. When it is not effective, we have to find a way to manage an individual using technology in environment where he wants to have a good quality of life. The purpose of it is, I use a single case with multiple unit, which is embedded unit and qualitative single case studies to explore the culture shock management strategy needed among cochlear implant users when they are located in host environment abroad, mostly when they travel. The significance of the study, it is at preventing the cause of social individual environmental change that actually destroy or deter the coping capability of CI users. But I use general system theory because I consider human through the eye of general system theory as an organismic system. So that means that an organism with a complex structure living in dysfunctional hearing status and operating in disturbing environment of culture shock. And I rely also on using the Ming theory of total quality management as a system to correct using new technology of telemedicine, telehealth, and telepractice on a remote site to access the individual when he is in a crisis during cultural impact issues. And I consider the process as post-cochlear implant process as a system also during, so that we may provide a reliable social interaction that may align with Food and Drug Administration standard, which signify that the technology is be used for a reliable communications, a better communication of every individual so that they may have a good quality of life and good exchange between individuals when they are living in any environment. But the theory framework about the culture shock management strategy is based also or mostly on the lumbar. Lumbar is talking about emotional care for people who are living this crisis of culture shock. And also the FDA for quality of the system and the quality of patient. So it is the quality of the device that a person is using and the quality also of the outcome of using this device safely when we are living in SOS, which is a system of system, means that a person as a system living in a smart city when the system is improving so fast to drive all the parameters of the individual that affect the physical, physiological, psychological interaction when this person is in a cultural environment, which is different than the native. Can you go to the next? Yes. Now, as I said, I based my study on general system theory from Bentelamfi, also on Deming, total quality management, and also on total cost of care concept and cost estimate, referring to the health partner based in Boston, which is actually managed or operated by the Harvard University. And also it is based on Goldstein and Keller in 1950, who promoted a theory of student lay theory of culture shock. Means that the students found out that in their testimony, they think that the impact that disturbed them was coming from the environment, not from the personality or for the person capability to deal with for culture shock in the environment. And Lombard also is talking about the emotional care of a person who are victim of of culture shock in different environment. And the FDA is actually established a standard and rule and regulation so that must be a better communication for every individual and a better conversational status when people are involved in communication. Can you go to the next? Can you go to the next? Yeah. Now, on the interpretation of the study, I found out that in my study, I found that because of the dynamic of the parameter in both in individual and in the environment, the only solution for strategy, it is managing the expectation. That's one. The way to approach it, the fundamental purpose of strategy is based on mitigating the culture shock. So remove all the aspects that created crisis. And the way to approach it is to investing in end users, the cochlear implant users, by preparing the user to face the culture shock and withstand the disability at the same time. And also on the innovation and social integrations, I focus on the quality of the process, very important. For this quality of the process, I use total quality management to optimize the cost and also the quality at the same time. I choose cost and quality instead of cost of quality. I was limited because in my study, I didn't talk about deaf culture or disability or hearing culture. And also I was limited by the pandemic impact because everyone in this area they are in the healthcare industry and they were impacted by the COVID issues. So, and also the participant I use, I was very selective because they have to be involved in adult cochlear implant users only, not children. And when they travel abroad. And also, I used a tool called In Vivo, and I depend on the performance of the tool. And also, I depend also on bias from these tools using In Vivos. I rely only on the mastery and responsibility using open-ended questionnaire, interpret them also on my professional integrity that I assume that all my participants, they have. I depend mostly on SurveyMonkey quality policy and credibility and anonymity of the feature of SurveyMonkey survey. So the recommendation is that I use only qualitative method in this study. By using qualitative method, I was planning, I recommend a quantitative method of inquiry to convey research, question, and hypothesis based on a methodology design of the composite of culture shock that was established by Orberg and also by Goldstein and Keller on student-led theory of culture shock. And regarding the social change implication, this is regarding the quality of life of cochlear implant users that require socio-cultural correctness and amendable technologies, which means that a person is considered as a complex system. And when a person is bearing a subsystem that is cochlear implant, it's considered as system of system. And when he is using this technology and considered as a system in the environment, there is a three area of aspect. I mean, three aspects in those areas. The first aspect is that the person has some variable inside himself, which is intra variabilities, and also outside in his environment, he has two aspects. One, it is inter-variability, means the variability of interaction between the cochlear implant user and the person in the environment, and also the way this cochlear implant user sees the environment itself. It is called extra variability. So we have intra variability, inter variability, and extra variability that work all together in this concept. When the technology, it is evolving and it is being used by cochlear implant users. And we know that cochlear implant has been very successful, and the quality of life of the user has been improved, even though exception exists. And that we have some aspect like culture shock that impact both normal users and cochlear implant users, but in fact that because of the emotional complexity on cochlear user and also on the concept of individuations, means that the personality that is birthed between disability on one side and affect of extra variability and inter-variability and intra-variability, we have an issue to be resolved here. And this can be resolved by creating a biosocial enterprise that recognizes there's an issue and the positive social exchange between cochlear implant user and the environment, and people in the environment should be considered, and make a better communication based on drug and federal Food and Drug Administration. Can you go to the next? Yeah, on my reference, I just put the reference, the top and the bottom. If you can see, this was based on the study in cochlear implant design on my master's degree, and also on the aspect of the cochlear implant itself on individual, and also by learning how the stimulation of cochlea happen, and also the speech processing theories based on the Shannon theory of compressions. So this study was mandatory for me, and the best way I can put it is that it is on my dedications, is that we have to make sure that we establish through the biosocial enterprise a convivial managed care, the care that is used the science for the sake of people to have a quality of life in the society, and to make a society better for individual, because the society is growing too fast. And now we have a smart city concept. The city is getting smarter, and the technology is getting smarter. And all of this should be used for the quality of life of individual, because mostly the cochlear implant user, they are dealing with one side, disability, and one side, the effect of the life, of their life when they live. I am saying that because when a person, based on common cochlear implant, a person when he's going to sleep, he usually take his cochlear implant away and sleep. And when he's asleep, he's really a disabled person. I mean, he has a disability. And when he wake up, he wear the cochlear implant so that he can interact with his peer and also with the environment at the same times. So he's dealing with both. And now we know there's totally implantable cochlear implants. So which is actually bringing the science at the level of normalizations. Normalization in the sense that becoming a normal organs in a person without saying that it is bringing a person to be transhuman, but just to use the science such that it will replace the functionality of the organs, but not the organ itself. So the person can perform normally and live a good life and be happy and be satisfied by the use of science in his life. So thank you for listening and thank you for your question if you have any. So,
And if you have any questions, please enter them in the chat, or you can unmute and ask Dr. Ambila. So I have a question. As we spoke just momentarily before your presentation started, what led you to doing this study? What was the passion behind your study?
yes, very, very good question. After my master's degree, where my thesis was designing the electrode for the cochlear stimulations that is used on cochlear implants, I prepared my thesis at University of Sherbrooke up in Quebec in Canada. I used to go back and forth between the United States and Canada for 3 years. After my master's degree, I was working here in Massachusetts. Then one day I went to church. I meet a parent with a little girls. They came to the US to receive a cochlear implant. Now, and when I listened to them, I talked with them, and everything was going fine, but they have some issues. The issue was about the culture in the United States because they weren't familiar with the culture here. And then after a while, means that that was in 2000, 2003. So after I worked for almost 11 years, and I want to know what happened to them. And I heard that they don't use the cochlear implant anymore. And the child was using sign language. But by remembering how we work in the lab to design cochlear implant and all of these, we work day and night, all weekend. We didn't sleep, we eat in the lab. I couldn't understand why we are spending too much time designing this technology and people don't use them. There's a failure somewhere. And that's what triggered me to find out why they didn't use the technology. So I found out that when they came here, the culture shock was an issue. They weren't very happy. They were emotionally affected. So when they went back, they reject everything, even the technology. But by starting this study, I was focused mostly on children But I found out that if I do the study through children, it will take like 20 years. But doing doctoral degree, it is maximum 6 years. So I switch from children to adult. Instead of bringing kids here, I say how the adult who are cochlear implant user deal with cochlear implant user when they go in different culture. I found that there's some issue there. And I went to a focus cochlear implant users, and some went to Australia. When they came back, they say it was some problem of frequency or affecting the device. They could understand very well the accent from Australia. I say, if only the accent is an issue, what will be an issue with a person, CI or cochlear implant used in the US, going to France for the first time? What will be his issue there? So that's why I did the study. I found out this issue affect the normal hearing and also cochlear implant user. But because of emotional issues and individuations of a person dealing with disability and also using cochlear implant, the emotional issue is very high. And how to solve this issue, I found that we have to use science and disruptive technology using management and also follow up so that maybe we can have a reliable software, which is upgradable software into the device. So there's this person who are using cochlear implant when he goes outside the system could be assisted. And also, if he could get in touch with a headquarter, means what I call biosocial organizations, through his cell phones, there's a way to assist him directly through the link or by talking to him directly or by doing something, doing telemedicine, doing telepractice, doing e-health, doing telehealth, so that we can assist him during the crisis when he is outside his own native culture, so that he won't feel abandoned or feel the crisis. I mean, so that we may lower down an anxiety that can affect his individuations when it is in different culture outside the country. Up until he get used to it, he get familiarized, because familiarizations and preparedness before travel, it is very, very important. It happened to normal hearing people, individual, and also to cochlear implant user, or anyone who has hearing issues going overseas.
That's wonderful. Thank you for that. I know this, you touched on this a bit. We have a question, Dr. Yvonne Dahl wants to know, what was your biggest surprise as you went through your doctoral journey, and what did you learn?
Wow. I learned a lot. I'm still learning. I learned mostly on using system of system. It is a big deal because it is really a big deal because it is shifting away where it's supposed to be. And now at Georgetown University, they have a program called transhumanism. Means that the human are using technology in their organism. But the goal is that it should be used for the sake of an individual, not for some other strategy outside on individuals. That's where it's becoming right now. And also on system of system, there's a theory now on smart cities. A city can manage itself from the airport to the seaport, from drone to satellite. So the city is becoming so smart, and through GPS and everything, that there's a way for interconnectedness with an individual such that it will become so complex and people may lose their own liberty. So city can see you, can feed you, can can I mean the city is able to do things outside yourself, so that it is become. I mean, I was very surprised to go into it because mostly on conviviality, where I stand for is that the positive social change should stay positive. But if there's no conviviality managed care, there will be something else. But better, it is like using energy issue for nuclear power, for lightning, heating, and some of the things. They're using it for something else. Yeah, that's where I stand for positive social change. And on this one, I learned as an engineer of formations. Going to Walden University was doing what I supposed to do to solve an issue doing this study. I was very happy. I was very happy because I end up doing what I want to do, not what I have to do because there is a directive that I have to follow. I just follow my heart to do this. And by doing so, I learn as an engineer things that I don't supposed to know, such that individuations, such that behavior, theory of behavior, such that, I mean, what I can say is that we came to the point where I say to myself, where we came from, what is the meaning of what I'm doing? Is here morality in my objective? And where am I going? So I ask these 4 questions all the time in my study. By asking these 4 questions, I ask the same question to my participant. By asking this question, I found out that there was a correlation between coherence in participant, which is mostly impacting my study, and correspondence in what they are doing. By doing so, is that I found that all the responses that were given to me cohere through the background of the manager of the postcochlear implantation systems. And the meaning of the management was almost the same. And the morality of their objective was the same. And the goal also was the same. And also that the correspondence between the group of people who, because I use a case study with embedded systems, embedded unit. There's 4 units, 3 units in the Canada speaking, English speaking area, and 2 units in the United States. They are bound to my studies. And what I found is that there's a correspondence between the unit that reveal the conviviality or the service to mankind. All groups have the same managerial background. The meaning of their management was leaning toward the quality of life of CI users, of cochlear implant users, and also the morality conveyed to positive social change for all. So, and finally, the goal was typically to make the cochlear implant user fulfill human potential with coping capabilities. So I was very satisfied because both coherence and correspondence were standing the test, that what I was doing was aligning with the truth, and that the output that I found was suitable and fit the requirement. That's all I can say to answer to that question.
Fantastic. And this is another great question. Jodine Birchnell has asked if you were able to put your findings in front of one important or influential person, who would it be?
In the study or outside the study?
Let's see, Jodine. Maybe how about one outside the study?
Oh, one outside the study. I'm Christian. Where I believe in Jesus Christ, and that's all what I can say. I believe really that he is alive, and I believe that we have to love God and love our neighbor. Wherever I do, like ourselves. And by doing so, it means that I am able to give myself a gift, to know the gift is good, because I know, I test that my gift I give to myself is good. I can evaluate the best gift I can give to somebody else. I cannot give him less than the gift I give to myself. I can invite myself to the restaurant and eat a very good meal, and then know that when I bring someone else, I can just look, I test this, it's a very good one, try it. And
actually, Victor, yeah,
yes.
this is Jodine Birchall. Yes, absolutely, keep the faith. But my question is more about the importance of your findings.
Yes, in the study.
You know, you did a very important study. So if you could take those findings and give them to somebody who could absolutely benefit the most from your findings, who would that be?
Yes, very good. I talked about this in my study. The target was the follow-up mostly in what they call the ORL, otorhinolaryngology. The otorhinolaryngology has expertise in cochlear implant and on deficient hearing. In this department, there is the audiologist. Audiologists, they deal with the device and the performance of both device and the device users. But around this group, there's a team of speech pathologists, clinical sociologists, clinical social worker, and also people who are involved in the follow-up. There's a group of people who are involved in follow-up. And this group of people who are involved in this follow-up, they create what they call biosocial communities. This is my target. Biosocial community is the community was made in the New York City because they fight against deaf culture in hospitals. These biosocial community include family members and cochlear implant users of all ages, they came together to share the burden, what kind of difficulty they have when they travel or they are here, or what kind of difficulty they have of the device, so that they can sustain. It is kind of social sustainability of people sharing burden in their own community because they have common goal and common life to have the same quality of life all together. That's work like a therapy. So this is the target, actually. The target is biosocial communities. They are everywhere. But they are very regulated, very regulated. This is my target. So if they use the works, they know that this is a very good work. I found that there's also the ACIA. It's the American Cochlear Implant Alliance here in the United States. They promote the better life for cochlear implant user at all ages, children and adults. They know about my work, but they can access it because I did some, I couldn't go to their symposium because it was during the pandemic, it was in person, but I published some data from my work through them. And also I support them. And yeah, there's people out there, but I also want to say this. I found out that there's people here in the United States who have the same issues than people who motivate me to go ahead and do this research. They are not children, they are grown up, adult. They have cochlear implant, but they don't use it. And it was disturbing to me, so that because they are here and when I talked to some, and they told me that they choose because they are free. But when I did do some investigations, I found out that it depends in the relationship they have in the environment where they live. The environment where they live is mostly a deaf culture, because the deaf culture is claiming freedom to be deaf, like from Walden University and some others. Because among the deaf culture, you can find engineers, you can find doctors, sociologists. They are smart. They think that deafness, it is a gift from God. So the FDA, I went to the open, I think, meeting at MIT, and there's a discussion. They said the technology is coming after you, taking away your freedom. That was the thing. Now, and because it is coming that way, we saw that the deaf culture spread all over the world. So to be most effective, to recruit more deaf people all over the world, then in the United States, when the cochlear implant is coming against the freedom of keeping the deafness as a gift and use it. So these people who don't use the cochlear implant in the United States, they are part of the deaf culture. They have it, they don't use it, but they use the sign language, American Sign Language, which is called the ASL. Okay, but the fact is that from the Food and Drug Administration, there's rules. When a child is bearing cochlear implant, you cannot talk to him using sign language. It can be seen as attempt to the good way of having communication, better communication for everyone. It is a kind of prohibition. So you cannot do sign language to the child who bear cochlear implants. So the fact we have to encourage, and also cochlear implantations happen between age of 6 to 2 years old. When it is above, it becomes kind of complicated, but there's options. Auditory brain implant exists. There's different options, and nuclear implant exists. And now the implantation is getting better and better because the technology is getting smarter and smarter. But yes, the biosocial community means that they all come together. I think it works very well. It works as a therapy, and also it works as performance testing for everyone who use cochlear implant. I encourage them and I support them also here in the United States and overseas.
Fantastic. Very good information. I've learned so much throughout your session today. I appreciate you carving out the time to present this fabulous findings and your experience. And thank you to our attendees. It's been great having you on the line.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that I create an organization through this. It was like an application because I didn't include children in my thesis. And I went back and created a non-profit organization. It is called Cochlear Bio World Corporation. It is a non-profit registered in the state of Massachusetts. It is online. The website is running. It's on www.cochlearbioworldcorporation.com. Yeah, it is here, and we are trying to bring these kids coming from a low-income country coming to the United States, and we will do procurement of services to put them in the environment when they are culture shock safe, free culture shock during 3 months, and bring them back home using telemedicine, telepractice, and telehealth to activate the device when they are home, so that we will fight against discrimination against these children who are seen as witchcraft or bad luck in this low-income country, so they can see that being deaf, it is not witchcraft. It is a condition that can be solved through technologies. When these children are activated in community down there, people in community can understand that these children are normal. They can evolve very well, and we can trace them out. We can keep track of them up until they receive scholarship to come back to their new state, to be followed by cochlear implant manufacturers. So we can create the cochlear implant of tomorrow. They can go back home and promote biosocial community down in their own country.
Great. Thanks for sharing that with us as well. Appreciate that. Well, once again, I would like to thank you for presenting this, Dr. Ambila. It's been a pleasure moderating for you, and thanks to those on the line. I put in the chat the sessions coming up, just a quick reminder. And if you missed any part of today's session, you can go back and listen to the recording on the event site, which can be found in the chat. Thank you so much.
I appreciate very much. I appreciate Walden University to give me the opportunity to do what I want to do. That's very important, very, very important. I can encourage anyone who wants to do what they want to do to go to Walden University. They can fulfill their dream and be free to do research in the area of their own interest for the sake of individual in community for positive social change. It's my pleasure to be here.